leave the camera off while you're driving. Hey guys, welcome back to I Will Wander. It is a chilly but sunny day here in Oyama, British Columbia, where I am currently hanging out. Have a look at that. So, thought I'd do a video giving a few quick little pointers on how to do these videos after having done so many of them myself. If you ever took a few minutes to look at the first few videos I put out, you'll see that we've come a long way. You might not see all of the techniques that I'm describing in this one in all of the videos that I do, but it's kind of a slow, cumulative thing where you pick up on these little tricks of the trade that can make life a little bit easier as you're going along and doing your thing. If anyone knows what that thing is, I'd love it if you point that out in the comments, because I don't have a clue what that thing is doing. Churning up the dirt in the area for some reason. I don't know. Make it a little more interesting, what I'm going to do is put little tidbits of content in between the different pointers that I outlined. So first one, easiest one to adhere to is, as you're starting to do a video clip, give yourself a few seconds of lead time and outro time at the beginning and the end. So let it run for a few seconds and then start into whatever you're doing. And then when you're done, whatever content you're doing, this is when the circumstances allow for what I'm describing, but when you're done, whatever content you're shooting for that clip, let it just go for a few seconds. And it makes it much easier for editing, which I assume you'll be doing yourself if you have a little bit of a buffer on each end of the clip that way. And as you're aware, editing is an extremely time-consuming aspect of this, so every little bit helps that way. Another quick little one, try to be as physically close to whatever you're shooting as possible, as opposed to zooming in from further out. It gives a slight improvement in image quality as well as audio quality. Another consideration when doing these videos is frame rate. I shoot generally at 60 frames per second, so the camera captures 60 images per second. Give you an example, what you're watching right now is shot on 30, so we'll see how things look. You kind of move around, and the audio quality as well. We'll see how that goes. Now I'm going to switch up to 60 frames per second. You'll see if there's a difference. And this little segment's at 60 frames per second. I find there is a noticeably better visual quality at this frame rate. It's not a huge difference in memory that you're using up for the process, so I suggest bumping it up to 60 frames per second, and you get just a slightly better sense of quality as you're doing it. Color retention seems to come through better as well. Ooh, it's a chilly one here today. Some really successful YouTubers I have watched suggest only using static or still shots in the videos. I kind of disagree with that. I like bringing a little bit of movement, pans, and especially reveal shots into things if you have an opportunity to do that. It's more visually stimulating and interesting if you can do it. I would, however, suggest that you try and do that slowly and reduce the sort of jittery effect of that, or the speed of that, because you kind of take the viewer out of the experience, and then they become aware of the fact that the camera is jostling around and someone's having a rough go with whatever's going on as far as capturing it smoothly goes. So obviously up to you, it's your content, you're the director as it were, but my vote on that is you bring in movement and any kind of reveal or aspect of things that way that you care to do, but as slowly and calmly as you can possibly bring that into things. There are also these sort of steady cam things that you can buy that will improve that aspect of things. And I know GoPros have a image stabilization. I don't know why you would ever turn that off. So certainly turn that thing on if you're on a GoPro, and it'll help greatly. But yeah, up to you. But I use the movement and the reveal and the pans every chance I get. When you see these shorter clips in between the sort of main content that people have in a video or even in a film or TV show, whatever, that's sometimes referred to as B-roll, and really effective, maintains visual interest, certainly. A technique I use just to expedite or hurry up the editing process is I keep those B-roll short clips in between other clips, about 5 seconds long. The reason for that is you're not overdoing the attention span of the modern viewer. And it also, having a standard length for these little B-roll clips for me makes the editing process much faster as well, because I don't need to try and gauge or determine what would retain the viewer's interest for any longer or shorter based on the stimulation level of the clip I'm in the process of editing. Everything is standard 5 seconds, and it dramatically speeds up the edit process between these different segments. If you've captured a wide variety of content for the video that you're working on, a very effective method of sort of hooking or catching the interest of the viewer is to place several very engaging clips right at the beginning of the video, maybe 3 seconds each at that point. And it generally has a tendency to keep whoever might be watching the video and lose interest initially more engaged in staying with whatever your content is, because they're curious to see what exactly was involved in these various clips that they've seen. So a few quick short clips of the most intriguing, engaging stuff that you've shot for that video at the beginning is also another very, very effective hook method. If you're not familiar with the term, a thumbnail is a photo image captured specifically to place at the beginning of YouTube content or other social content. And it's the image that comes up when your video comes up in the YouTube feed. I often don't bother capturing a thumbnail for the videos because I don't know, I like the randomness of the software choosing the thumbnail itself. Often they're, not the most flattering images of myself that I could use. But I don't know, I just like the randomness of that process. So I would assume, though, it's probably more effective to get a professional looking, or at least more engaging thumbnail for each of the videos that you're creating. And there's the jury is out on whether or not placing text over the thumbnail is most effective. For this video, for example, I could put, quick pointers on creating YouTube videos, text over the whatever thumbnail I use for this video. If you're going to do that, I would suggest that you place the text over part of the top, but then the left-hand side of the picture you're using as a thumbnail, because there is some content that comes up on the right-hand side and on the bottom side in the YouTube process. And if you've got text on the right-hand side and down below, the different YouTube content will overlap that, and it won't be as effective a use of the text over the thumbnail that you are providing for the video. So if you're going to do it left-hand side and maybe a little bit above. I sometimes do. Generally, I don't. Some of the most successful YouTubers that I watch don't do it, and then some of the moderately successful ones that I watch do it every single video. There's a software or a web app called BeFunky at befunky.com, and for free, you can take any image that you've captured, and it will manipulate it into the appropriate dimensions for any social media you need. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube thumb, profile, anything you need. It's befunky.com is a free option for that as well. As far as ideal length for your video goes, that's at the discretion of the creator, of course. There are some factors to consider that way. If your video is more than 10 minutes long, at time of recording, YouTube will allow you to place 2 ads in a monetized channel's videos. So anything under 10 minutes, and it gives you the option of putting 1 ad. If the video is longer than 10 minutes, you get 2 ads, which can, I assume anyway, radically increase your revenue potential for your channel and that specific video as well. But again, there are times where I've had 3.5 minutes of content, and that was as effective as it was going to get. And there are times where I've had 40 minutes of content, and that seemed appropriate for me at the time as well. So there is a factor with the modern viewer's attention span, and also what they're seeking on YouTube. Generally, I'm not looking to watch a 2-hour documentary when I go on YouTube. I'm looking for some short and sweet content with interesting visuals and some engaging circumstance happening. Either immersing myself in whatever the person on the channel is doing, or being informed or entertained in some way. That's generally my motivation for going on YouTube. I assume it's the same for most. So slightly more than 10 minutes, I would consider the ideal for that. But again, your specific content will vary based on what's going on. A couple more quick little pointers here, and then let's switch up the backdrop, shall we? So it took me forever to realize this. I'm shooting on an iPhone, and I have been forever. If you have your basic sort of home screen up on your iPhone, there are generally two different buttons you can push right there, one of which is a camera, and it will immediately bring up the camera, and you can, start shooting your content, photo or video, or whatever else you're into. I was out of habit scrolling up, putting in the numeric code to clear, getting in, and then going into the video or photos or whatever. But you can, if time is a factor in something that you're trying to capture from the locked off home screen, you can just push the camera button there, and it'll dial you into your camera accessory app. The other quick little scenario, again, I'm sure you're aware of this. There is some debate about whether or not you're legally allowed to use very, very short clips of copywritten material. Little song segments that people will recognize, but if it's under, say, 5 seconds, then the algorithm lets it slide or whatever. I've since found out that you're not legally allowed to use any length of copywritten music material or video, but generally this comes up when you're using a music overlay. So instead of risking that, because the software is way smarter than you or I, and eventually they will catch up with you and either demonetize the video that you've used the brief clip in, or they also allow you to, I think, remove all music audio from it or something like this. And either way, though, if you've got a video that's been up for a while and it's earned you quite a bit of revenue, it basically creates a circumstance where you have to repost that video. So you're starting from scratch as far as the algorithm goes, and you can end up losing a lot of ground that way. Best policy that way is there's an ample free YouTube audio library if you need quiet, soft music under some of the content that you're using, or you wanted it to come in loud. You can just use the free stuff that YouTube includes with with their video editing options that way. It's another kind of amusing thing where I find often the music selection with a lot of YouTubers doesn't match what you're watching. You'll have a guy folding his laundry or something, whatever he thinks is captivating content, and there's, you know, thrash metal overlaying this, like it's some highly dramatic circumstance that's happening. Or I don't know, a guy's out plowing snow in his pickup truck and he's got, you know, classical music in the background, like it's some, you know, cultural masterpiece taking place in front of the people. So what I tend to do on the occasions where I have any kind of music overlay is try and really consider how well matched it is to the visual content happening in the clip. About to drive away from the spot where I've been doing all of these previous clips, and just a suggestion, but maybe a stronger suggestion. You often see people who are driving and they're putzing around with a camera to create YouTube content as they're operating a moving vehicle, guys. You're all very interesting. I'm interesting. Everyone's interesting. We all love watching YouTube, right? This is, of course, I get a jet going by. If I could make a suggestion, unless you have somebody doing camera for you, right? Just turn the camera off while you're driving. Don't even have it running in some kind of a long capture, you know, scenario or whatever. Don't worry about a camera while you're driving, okay? And this enthralling, captivating content that we all put out on YouTube about what we had for dinner last night, or the picture we're about to paint, or whatever it is, right? Once you stop, like I'm gonna do up the road there, get back at it that way. Leave the camera off while you're driving. I take a ton of photos, still photos, almost all of which I shoot on this iPhone that I'm doing this video on. And another effective sort of cutaway content variety technique is to overlay several seconds of still photos that you've taken onto a video. It's a really good method of demonstrating content you're describing in a video. Like, oh, we went to the waterfall that day, it was so incredible, and we cut to a shot, or still shot or two of the waterfall. And also maintains visual variety as well, which is kind of the name of the game in this short attention span genre we're enjoying here on YouTube. Here, I'll show you. Another aspect of things that I didn't initially consider is consistency in audio levels. The different clips that I post in a lot of my videos have widely varying volume levels, but also just quality of the pitch and whatnot to the different clips. And there are some fairly simple methods you can use if you're shooting on an iPhone, or it doesn't matter what you're shooting on actually. If you're editing in iMovie on an Apple computer, and what I'll do, I think it's easier if I show still photos describing the method whereby you can fairly easily capture all clips in a video and have the audio level moderated for every clip in the video, or a more specific method that I never really use at this point is reducing the volume level in a specific clip, or even a segment of a specific clip. But it's just easier, I found, to just do the method that I'm about to describe in the voiceover segment upcoming. Pretty simple, really. Basically, you group select the audio or video clips with the embedded audio,
and you click on the loudspeaker icon in the toolbar at the top of the screen, and you'll see a slider just to the left of that you can move to normalize the sound across all clips. Easy peasy.
Just back here, I was jogging here summer months, and these are cornfield. They were cornfields in the summer. And a black bear goes up on his hind legs as I'm about this distance from my car. And he kind of looks around and then goes back down. And I'm still a couple hundred meters from my car. And I no longer have a visual on this bear that is just up the road. Not as concerning as you might think, but I picked up the pace. My face is numb from the cold, as long as it's not for too long or too often. I kind of like the sensation. Ooh, you should see the view I've got from here. That's why I love coming to this place. The major sort of appeal of my channel in many ways is the visuals that the part of the world where I live provides. The scenery in this area is absolutely incredible, and I try and sort of capture that to the greatest extent possible as I go about my business. Don't really have much else to say. I would encourage you to keep going with your video production, creative expression in this way. If there's anybody around me, I immediately turn the camera off for a few different reasons. Legally, you might be okay, but it's an intrusion on them that you haven't had clearance for, that I don't feel is fair to people to be capturing them on video, even if it is perfectly legal. I don't know, it doesn't seem fair. So I turn the camera off if there's anyone around me as a consideration that way. I don't know, obviously, your circumstances, but to the extent that it's possible, I would encourage you to kind of ignore any of the naysayers that are trying to cause you grief, if that is an aspect of what's happening with your creative that way, because it does tend to, it seems anyways, like it tends to happen quite a bit. And all you can do is ignore them. I can't stress enough how glad I am that I started doing this after this bizarre dream, and have continued to do so. It has led to some other scenarios that I know would not have been the case in my life if I wasn't putzing around with the YouTube stuff. I don't have any specific goals for this channel except one. I want to get the channel formally monetized. In order to do that, at time of recording, as they say, you need 1,000 subscribers. At this point, I don't have 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers, and then at that point, I'll reassess whether I want to continue or not. There is a sundog, as they call it. These, see that big circular? How's that for content? Neat. Yeah, my goal for the channel at this point is simply to monetize the channel, and then I will have reached what I initially set out to do when I started this, because I don't really have any other specific circumstances that way. Good luck with it, guys. I'll see you again. As is often the case when I sign off on a video, I remember something, or something else comes into my field of vision that clearly represents another great shot. What I remembered after just signing off there just now is the different formats of video that you can employ. I don't use slow-mo, although I'm sure that could be very effective in certain circumstances. I played around with cinematic, but it's not normally my thing. I just use the normal video, except for the time-lapse. If I'm back at a lake, for example, and doing something that doesn't necessarily seem like it's going to capture people's image or capture people's attention long term, I'll throw on the time lapse, and it is a much more effective way of doing so, where let's say I'm gathering a bunch of wood and starting a fire and fishing from shore for a couple hours. It's not exactly edge of your seat stuff, but you do the time lapse and it makes it much more engaging that way. So that's my final suggestion. Good luck with it.